Breath of the Wild gave us a lot to enjoy over this long period of waiting for the next Zelda game. With Tears of the Kingdom on the horizon next year, there are many things fans, including myself, want that was not in Breath of the Wild. What are one of those things, you might ask? Dude, dungeons. While Breath of the Wild had its own dungeons, being the Divine Beasts, they were still shorter and less unique than the ones we enjoyed across the history of all Zelda. Some say the Divine Beasts were just bigger shrines, and in my opinion, that's pretty much right. As we hope for traditional and more unique dungeons to return, there are some signs we might see them come back. One of these biggest signs comes from the form of beta content and a mysterious comment by Miyamoto. I made a whole video on that alone and how it could lead to a dungeon coming to life in Tears of the Kingdom, so I'll put a link somewhere around here to that video. That video is a precursor to this one, so check that out if you haven't already. That video was surprisingly well received. Alright, getting back into the topic, so what the heck is this video about? Well, I believe there is another dungeon, Breath of the Wild Foreshadows, that will be in Tears of the Kingdom. This dungeon, or the possibility of it, surprisingly from what I can see, isn't talked about a lot among the Zelda community as much as I thought it would be. So today, I will dive deep into this possibility, why this dungeon in Tears of the Kingdom makes sense, where it is, what it is, and speculating on what it will be like. So, if you haven't already, give this video a like, consider subscribing, and let's dive deep into the possible iteration of a previous dungeon, the Arbiter's Grounds. The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess was a Zelda experience building off of its predecessors. The game expanded a lot upon of what Ocarina of Time had to offer, especially with its continuing lore. As most people know, Twilight Princess showed a cutscene of Ganondorf being executed due to his crimes previously done in Ocarina of Time. This execution was done at a location housing the 4th dungeon of the game and later opening a portal to the Twilight Realm. This is a very significant location in Twilight Princess, and even across all of Zelda's history. This location is known as the Arbiter's Grounds, Dungeon of the Gerudo Desert. Within its interior holds the undead. Creepy and haunted enemies awaken from within their tombs. This dungeon also has mysterious gear-like controlled mechanical puzzles, with them being utilized by the spinner item. It gives some sort of ancient industrial technology feel, as if there's an unknown history to what this place used to be. I mean, it looks like your typical pyramid spirit temple type of place dungeon, but the gears and all those puzzles really make it more interesting. So, what does this Arbiter's Grounds place have to do with Breath of the Wild, or even Tears of the Kingdom? Well, it's in Breath of the Wild, dude. But not in the way that we expected. You see, in Breath of the Wild, it's merely an Easter egg, being the name of a location that just has arc and pillar ruins, and yeah, that's pretty much it. As if there was some sort of ancient town that used to be there that's not that important. I mean, there's a Melduga battle and some enemies there, and even a Korok seed. But like I said, not a lot to see there. But let's put the theory cap on and look closely. The Gerudo Tower in Breath of the Wild has a huge deep hole that must have a bottom, as well as the hole Master Koga falls in after you defeat him. So, Gerudo Desert must have a lot under its surface. And what did the first Breath of the Wild 2, or rather Tears of the Kingdom trailer have to show us? Underground areas and exploration. What is also in Tears of the Kingdom? Sky Islands, some theorize to be ripped out of the ground and raised skyward, like what happened to Skyloft in Skyward Sword. I'm sure you know where I'm going with this. Arbiter's Grounds might hatch and grow from just being an Easter egg of location in Breath of the Wild. I believe it will make its grand return as a dungeon. So how and why would Arbiter's Grounds, or at least a variation of it, return in Tears of the Kingdom? Well, firstly, there's a heavy connection with Ganondorf and Arbiter's Grounds. It's where he was allegedly not executed, and was sent into the Twilight Realm. While that was a completely different game, who do we know is returning in Tears of the Kingdom? Ganondorf. I would be surprised if this corpse was a new original villain. I don't think that would be the case though. Anyway, who are people comparing this Ganondorf corpse to? Twilight Princess Ganondorf. Link's new green energy arm. What color does it match up with? Green, bluish, Twilight Princess magic, color themes, and motifs. I mean, guys, the similarities are just a lot. Now, let's get into how this dungeon would make itself known. As I said earlier, there's a huge emphasis on both underground and sky exploration in Tears of the Kingdom using Breath of the Wild's world, as we all know. So, there are actually two possibilities from this. I believe the actual Arbiter's Grounds dungeon is actually underground, being underneath where we see it in Breath of the Wild. Thus, the two possibilities are, 1, it rises out of the ground and into the sky, and becomes a new dungeon only accessible in the sky, leaving a hole to where it was in Breath of the Wild, kind of like how Skyloft rose up. Or 2, the new underground exploration will just take us there without it rising from the ground. So we'll go underneath the the Arbiter's Ground area in Breath of the Wild. We'll go under it and then find the dungeon there. Come on, guys. You gotta consider the possibilities here. This is something just too good not to utilize, and I personally would be shocked if we don't see a greater form of Arbiter's Grounds hidden in Breath of the Wild, a main scene, and made come to life, I should say, in Tears of the Kingdom. Moving on to pure speculation, what would this dungeon look like? Well, I don't think the specific puzzles and rooms would be reused from Twilight Princess, obviously. I think Nintendo will make it a new dungeon, and with maybe a couple of references to its Twilight Princess counterpart. Oh, and by the way guys, before I move on, look at these Gerudo hieroglyphics found in Arbiter's Grounds and Twilight Princess. Now look at the beginning of the first Tears of the Kingdom trailer. I'm telling you, these connections. Anyway, I predict this dungeon will have some of those hieroglyphics, along with the haunted theme, of course. Something I do really want to see, more ancient gear-like technology connecting the Sheikah technology to that of the spinner, giving a whole history of like more old school technology and how it came from the past, the future, you know, all that stuff. I think the aspect of that lore can bring so many more theories and discussion. Finally, I predict the boss, if there will be one, which there probably will be, to be like Godon from the Wind Waker, with the hands giving more of a Sheikah technology theme, but also giving more of an, I don't know, more of like a Spirit Temple feel, so I'm gonna go with more like something like Iroh from Super Mario 64. Yeah, I know that's Mario, but I mean, the pyramid block texture and style just makes sense. The aspect of this dungeon returning has me so excited. Even though it's not confirmed, Zelda dungeons have returned and been remade before. Prime example being the dungeons from A Link to the Past being similar, but overall remade for A Link Between Worlds. And don't forget about the Temple of Time too. Anyway, I believe this is super likely. I wanted to make this video idea short, but there's just so much more I had to say. I really feel like this whole dungeon prediction theory is super likely, even more likely than my previous one. However, that video created the inspiration for this one, and the whole premise for it is what led me to making this video. So if you haven't seen that video, please go check it out. I'll link to it here. I also made other videos since that one, so check those out as well. If you thought this video was cool, give it a like. And if you want to stay tuned for more Zelda content, subscribe. I got more videos coming out, and especially with another trailer that we hope to see at the February Direct, not at the Game Awards unfortunately, which sucked, but hey, we got a trailer, or at least we should have a trailer at the next February Direct. So once that happens, Zelda content, ideas, and theories will blow up. So I'll be making a lot more videos, and you guys don't want to miss that. That is all, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Blessings, and take care this holiday season.